and private client practitioner, joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, so normally those of you who are tuning in are locked into Tony at 6:35, but he's got so much he wants to talk about today that we sort of did a little time flip and brought him on at 7:05. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and proud to be among everybody, and it is an honor and a pleasure. And I feel good.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's all that counts. As long as you're feeling good, baby. That's 90% of it. All right, so...
Well, what's the old saying? Any day above ground is a good day. Today's a good day. I'm above ground.
Agreed, my friend. Agreed. You know, it's funny. A couple people who... Now, I forgot to go look at this. It's weird. Sometimes you get in the middle of something in the morning, and I say, oh my God, I got to do that, and then I get distracted and I forget. And now that I'm talking to you, I realize I forgot to do something. And just really quick, so I had a couple people early this morning say, hey, can you send me the link that you and Tony, when you guys went after, Ned Lamont? And my response to this young woman was that, well, what? I mean, go after him every single week. What week are we talking about? And then, but she says that the link that I have to go check this. The link that we went after him originally has been taken down off of SoundCloud, which you'll have to send me the date of that, because I don't have that at my fingertips. I got to go look for that, because if they took that down, oh man, there's going to be chaos here on the radio. I can tell you that right now. I have to go look. I'll
certainly give that a look.
Okay. All right. So where are we going? We're going to start with Denang Dick today.
This is interesting, and it's you talk about seeing red in so many ways than one. I'd like to go back and review for a few minutes where we were last week, because understandably we were a little choppy, for a number of reasons. But let's go back into the world of data collection, and just to review, there's a number of state contractors, Boston Consulting, AMN Health, Yardi Systems, Semaphore, where they're gratuitously collecting our personal data. Nobody told us but us here. Nobody read those provisions but us here. It's going on as we speak. Last week, we also talked about the data arm, or the supercomputer, or Semaphore, which is Centrellus, which is the database repository. Now, we ran a trademark search on Centrellus, and we found out that Centrellus, in other words, where all the data, where all the collected stuff is going, is not a part of Semaphore or Semaphore. I'll try to pronounce it the way everybody else is pronouncing it. But it's really Mount Sinai Genomics. Mount Sinai Genomics is not Semaphore. It is a Delaware corporation of hidden owners, and they're working through a lease agreement. We also know that we know several things. We know that a Delaware corporation is impossible to pierce. There's like two things you could do: fraud and alter ego. Even though this is like highly crooked, it's not fraud. Ned's not using this as his own, shall we say, person, at least not to my knowledge. And we also know that Mount Sinai Genomics is on the recusal list, so very easy for us to draw the connection legitimately that Ned, through Centrellus and Mount Sinai Genomics, has our data. Now, is that crazy? Let me ask you that, because it's about to get a whole lot crazier.
Is it crazy that they have my data?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like it. I mean, I don't.
Ned's got it.
I don't like it
through a Delaware corporation. That can't pierce. Okay, so let's move on. Now, we read about the Semaphore deal and what's actually happening. Now, if you go back about a year, and if you go back about all the wonderful stuff before the SPAC, and this is a great corporation, and the sky was the limit, yesterday Semaphore hit an all-time low, a forever low on the market. And you got to remember, and you might be sitting here saying, well, what happens if they go bankrupt to the data? Well, again, think of that Delaware corporation. That's insulated. They ain't going anywhere with that. So when the market forces got here, it actually said, what's actually taking place. The market is a cruel taskmaster, and you're going to have some very hacked off investors. Now, one of the things that you've heard back and forth, and you read stuff in the press and things like that, let's be very clear about something. just because we had the announcement on Friday, well, Ned magnanimously said, well, this company's not going to do any more testing for us. Now, this in no way, Lee Elci, invalidates this contract. Because for two reasons. Number one, contracts have what is known as survivability provisions, so that if something doesn't happen, the rest of the contract survives. And it's a standard thing in any kind of law. You don't want to go through a mess like that just to have to do it again, and you don't want to take out what you might perceive to be valid. Then the other thing is, when you read the actual language of the contract, people talk about it, people write about it. I mean, it's some of the stuff you read is just farcical. It is not based on COVID testing. It is based on something that is specimen collection, and which is a much broader definition. So these guys, operators that they are, and they are operating at this very moment. And, we've said all the time, Ned is a classic bagman. He comes on TV, he puts his hands in his pockets, he rolls his eyes. Well, I didn't know what was carrying in that bag. I mean, believe me, the man missed his calling. But this is a racket which we're about to see. While you were away, while we all were away, while we're all doing other kinds of things, the state of Connecticut set up something called a comprehensive all-access exchange known as the Statewide Health Exchange, which is sort of like a big repository where all of our information just kind of goes in wherever we are. We do have opt-out provisions, but even those are limited. And, it's sold to us as that, well, now everybody knows, they don't have to do any guesswork. It's all there. It's a creature of statute. The statute has been amplified. If you're keeping score at home, 17B, 59D. It's called whatever you want to call it. The buzzword is called Connie. It's and it deals with electronic medical records. Now, Part C of this statute to me is extremely interesting. How are you going to collect all this information? And it says all contracts and agreement entered to by or behalf of the state, the health information technology, shall be consistent with the goals articulated in subsection B and shall utilize, get your pens out, kids, contractors, vendors, and other partners with a demonstrated commitment to such goals. All the provisions are broad, but, they're saying we're going to be using contractors. Now, again, big wheel keeps on turning. Semaphore is trying to keep his investors in the game. About, let's see, what is today, the 21st? 5 days ago, they had an investor presentation. And they're pretty much saying, they more or less, we're not going to do the testing anymore, but our data collection is going to be, pregnancy, autoimmune, oncology, diabetes, rare disease, and then they talk about the health systems they're working with. But on page 13 of this very document, page 13, it's like, how are we going to get the data, kids? And they talk about channels. And in their channels, we're going to get the data through health systems and EMR. We're going to get it through public databases, and we're going to get it through third parties. Now, so basically, and I'm going to show you exactly why this is the case, Semaphore has aligned into Connie to do whatever data collection they want to do for whosoever is there. Now, Connie, again, this great database that's going to save us all. I'm a data guy. I don't want 10,000 people in my data. They may not know what to do with it, for crying out loud. But right on the Connie website, just to show you how these people just lie like bargain store carpet, can groups buy access to my data? And then the answer is, Connie does not sell access data to any one group or company in any way that circumvents state or federal laws protecting your data. Notice what they did not say, Lee Elci. They did not say, Connie does not sell access to data to any one group or company any way. I mean, that's basically what it is. These people are lying through their teeth every single day. The people who are supposedly dogging them for questions have no freaking idea whatsoever what supposed to questions they're asking. I am beside myself. You're balling my friend.
So all of the data that was collected by Semaphore and now Connie has, they can do pretty much whatever it is that they want, sell it any way that they want. What is...
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, a data sale is legal.
Sure.
Right? But, it's... exactly.
Well, what is the reasoning behind... maybe I missed this in the week that I was in a haze. What was the reasoning behind Semaphore's bowing gracefully out of the COVID testing scene?
To make us all think that they weren't in this for the money, and that they were going to noblesse oblige.
So
basically,
who's? I know this is not necessarily about but I'm curious about this. So who's taking over and picking up that slack of all of the tests that are going to be? Because now the Connecticut's in a panic mode, right? I said this to everybody last week a couple of different times. Lines for these free testing centers are around the block. So who's doing that now?
Well, we are told it's supposed to be the minor providers.
Okay.
It's supposed to be the hospitals and everybody else. And I think, now Ned Bagman has become Ned Victim. Well, we had test people. You didn't want me to use my test.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
If I come to you with a vaccine passport, or if I come to you with a lockdown, what choice are you giving me? It's the weak parent trying to get back at the kids. I mean, it's so predictable.
Well, I'm just trying to...
two things I do want to mention here.
Sure.
Or actually one thing at all. Since Semaphore, or Centrellis, or Mount Sinai, more properly, is a private corporation, we have no idea, and we can't get an FOI as to, what data do they have. Now, can I try an FOI, and Connie? I can. I'd be curious as to what they tell me, but basically, these investors are looking at this and saying, hey, man, this is our data. This is the one thing that's going to keep this stock floating. I mean,
right.
And let me just say this. You hear a lot about the ethics agreement, which I've been after, day one, which I've said. I had this discussion with George Colley. I said, George, the law and the agreement is good. The agreement itself is a prop. It's a joke. It's a farce. This is just one of Ned's ways of, quote unquote, dealing with the state without dealing with the state. People, how stupid can you be?
The information, I'm trying to think about the information that is actually we forfeit when we do these kinds of things. What information is on that list? I mean, I know is it all of your medical records now?
Well,
or is
pretty much. It's a broad-based provision. You agree that, we will give this to other providers that will help us. And, you're there in a weakened state, and you're there in, you're confused, perhaps a little delusional, perhaps a little hazy.
Yeah, but are they taking, because when you get a test, right, because I've gotten a couple of these tests, they really they take your insurance card, or they take something that has information on it, but you're not, like, I'm not filling out a form with my social security number and, my mother's maiden name and my favorite number and my password. I'm not giving them that. So, I mean, are they getting that, though, through in other words, are they squeezing that or grabbing that from my health provider? Because I'm sure that Aetna or whomever else that or your major insurance carrier has everything. They've got your social security number. They've got it all. So does Semaphore, now Connie, have that by, not attrition's the wrong word, but by osmosis, grabbing it and
by accumulation?
Yes. Do they have it?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do, and nothing stops them. And nothing stops them through their own lion dog language on the site from selling it. And you're not getting anything for it.
It's interesting because this is just ripe for a data breach too. I feel like this is the next thing.
Please.
Coming. You know what I mean?
Well, let me just say this: we have new kids here today. Good morning. It's it's really a pleasure to be among you. When Boston Consulting Group, a little bit of history, when Boston Consulting Group, when our identities were handed over to really what was total political silence, the Department of Health was breached about a month and a half ago. There was no coverage whatsoever in any press or anything like that. The only reason I knew about it is Kathy, my wife, is a member of, she's registered with the Department of Health for a license, and they said, well, you may be breached, and if you were, it's good luck, guys, every man for himself. Now, I know. I mean, I've worked with databases for 50 years. These things just don't happen out of the blue. They are a result of something precedent. It's just like, yeah, well, of course. And I mean, who has this information? I'm so happy you mentioned that, Lee Elci, because if you believe in this thing, okay, you can have your information. I want everybody to have my information. That's great. But I can't keep that on a card in my wallet. I can't keep control of that. I've got to give that over to, a bunch of people who God knows what to God knows who, and what are they going to do with it, and how are they going to market it? And this is all for my good and my benefit, and you want me to like it? I mean, who are you kidding?
Right. Tony D'Angelo is with us.
Apologies for my French.
We've got him for some extra time today because there is so much. And since we are reaching the other half of the state, we will keep him on for another 5 minutes. And if somebody out there has a question for Tony, they can absolutely call in 860-464-9490, a question that I may miss along the way here. And I'm sure that there are many. So, yeah, I mean, I hope we, I don't know. I don't know.
No, either, but I mean, it's like we really have to be wise as serpents here. Yeah. We really do. It's no matter what we're told, no matter how we're told, whatever they're telling us, whatever they want us to believe. How many things, Lee Elci, in a year and a half have we found in this broadcast that just ain't true? Just ain't true.
No, and you got, like you had said, it's one after another, after another, after another. It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. I was talking to Wayne Allen Root the other night about that. Not about this case, but just about that whole mantra of death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it comes at us in all different ways, right? So we just like that frog in the boiling pot. We just accept it for the day, and then they just keep gaining ground. And
they hope we forget, and they are a good spin machine. They are fortified with multiple millions of dollars, and they know how to grease the wheel.
Yeah. All right, we do have a couple of people on hold, and as I wait, let's go. We'll go to first. Brian, good morning. You're on with Tony D. We got to go quick though with your question for him. Go ahead.
Okay,
Brian.
Cool. Just got a quick question for you, Tony. Thank you for getting back to me previously. My question for you is, is there a central location where we can get a lot of this information that you guys talk about?
Oh, I wish. I mean, basically, I'm pretty much. I think any person doing this stuff, you have to sort of think about how they have the information and work backwards. There's nothing, quote unquote, journalistically that I see where you can do it. I know, is it quick or dirty? I've put a lot of the things out there, and I have them on a YouTube channel. I wish I had an easy answer for you. I don't. I mean, I think it's deliberately meant to confuse you as a reason.
And just one thing, Brian, just so I can echo one thing, just so we can corroborate a couple of things. Tony has been on this from the beginning, and not one time, Tony, has anybody disputed anything that you have said. Nothing, right? I mean, a lot of times in these kinds of stories, people will say,
angry.
"Well, but what I'm saying is nobody's saying that's not true, not once."
I've never heard it.
Okay, Brian.
Hey, Tony, what is that YouTube channel that you mentioned?
It's mine. It's Tony D'Angelo channel. Whenever I do these segments, Lee is kind enough to give me the audio, and I post them there for all to see. Most of them are topical. A lot of them are topics that have gone by. But since this goes on and on and on and on, these things are consistently generating new life.
Well, Tony, give everybody. Is there a certain website that you?
Yeah, look on YouTube, the Tony D'Angelo channel. You'll see all the postings which I've done through all the weeks.
All right. And the only reason why I bring that up is people are very visual and they probably want to see that. So the Tony D'Angelo channel.
Yeah, and it's audio. It's just the dialogues of you and I speaking. Through the weeks and the months.
All right. I'll actually post that for everybody on Facebook. So.
Awesome. Thanks,
guys. All right, thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Did you want to get into a minute or two of anything else, or?
Well, I think the whole Da Nang Dick, the Jussie Smollett of the Vietnam War is quite well covered. I can't tell you how angry I am about this, but I'm glad you brought up Wayne Allen Root. I thought he had a terrific article where if you are a Republican or an aspirant, if you are a national Republican, a local Republican, or whatever, why the silence?
Exactly.
Why is communism acceptable in any form whatsoever? I mean, I had an uncle who lost an eye during the Battle of Midway. He was on the Wasp as his ship was sunk. His lifelong friend was killed. They were working the same gun turret. And, I mean, it's like, this is all going to be okay, and, Dick, we're just going to let Dick go on as it is. I mean, this is disgusting, people. This is still America. As long as I'm in it, it's America. You have whatever kind of world you want, but this whole thing is, I mean, if you're not going to come out and say communism is wrong, and you're not, and this man should be removed, you want me to respect you? I'm not going to.
Yep. Every Republican should be screaming from the rooftops. Every Democrat
should be.
The Democrats should be condemning it as well. I mean, shame on them. Both sides.
Shame on everybody. Because it's, and the other thing is, if you have absolutely nothing to do, go into the state statute and read the oath of office of the legislature. It mentions God and faithfulness to the Constitution. Right. I mean, it's like, so what? Anyway,
right.
Not my world, not the one I'm going to live in.
Two things, brother. One, if you can post your YouTube channel, I think
I will do that. I'll do that in the stream this morning.
And also, do me a favor and just triple check for me whether they removed our audio from way back when. I'd like to know that myself. I'll go look myself, but maybe I'm missing something.
This is on your general SoundCloud.
I guess so. That's what I'm under the impression of. So I'll look and you look, and maybe we'll find out.
I'll make sure I do that before showtime's up.
All right. And by the way, Merry Christmas. Thanks for everything.
Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you so much for listening, kids, old and new.
All right, Tony. Thank you, buddy.